Hi there, smart drivers. Talking to you tonight about Spock 3, the defensive driving model that will make you a safer, smarter driver and greatly reduce your chances of being involved in a crash. Stick around, we'll be right back with that information. Hi there, smart drivers. Welcome back. Rick with Smart Drive Test talking to you tonight about defensive driving, greatly reducing your chances of being involved in a crash. Goose is here. Ben is here. My friend Mallory is also here. Ellis and Evan, and some questions already coming in about how to pass the driver's test, how to make yourself a safer, smarter driver. And that's what we do here at Smart Drive Test. Let's keep you safe on the roadways, help you to pass a driver's test, and belong to the community of drivers in our world because, you know, there's a lot of pressure to get your license, a lot of pressure to belong to that community, and of course there's a lot of empowerment, a lot of freedom that comes with having your driver's license and being able to drive a car and get around and those types of things. So lots of people here, that's what we're doing. So the way that we do it here at Smart Drive Test is to do a presentation for 10 or 12 minutes and give you some information, and then we come back and we answer all your questions about passing a driver's test, all the questions you might have about being a safer, smarter driver, things that you need to do or things you don't need to do on the roadway, and as well, if you're starting your career as a truck or bus driver, we'll help you with that as well. So Corey, Bricks for Wheels, is the moderator. He does an excellent job of getting up the videos that I suggest for people and giving you more information about, you know, a possible question that you had and going into that in more depth and detail. Blessed is here, and Blessed, now that you're here, I completely forgot to answer your question that you emailed me about during the week, and I do apologize about that. It's been busy week, to say the least. Lots going on here. But I will definitely, now that I remember that, I'll try and get that done for you tonight and send you that information. So, because I know you asked me about cleaning supplies for your vehicle, and one of the things I did say previously about washing your vehicle, do invest in car soap. Car soap will prevent your vehicle from streaking. It also leaves a nice shine on your vehicle. It's a lot easier to wash, and of course you can invest in a chamois as well, and that'll really give it a nice shine. So retired here, Cole, Carl, lots of other people here as well. So without further ado, we'll get over to the presentation, and as I said, we'll come back after the presentation, which will take 10 or 12 minutes, and we'll answer all of your questions about passing a driver's test and starting your career as a truck or bus driver and becoming a safer, smarter driver. So here we go. So smarter defensive driving, Spock 3. This is a defensive driving model that I have been working on for a little while now, and I'm honing it and shaping it. It's coming together. I think I'm almost there with the entire defensive driving model that will help you out. For those of you who are new to Smart Drive Test, my name is Rick August. I was a truck driver in the 1990s, running long haul from Ontario, Canada into the United States. I did make it to most places in the United States, a couple of states that I didn't, but mostly east of the Mississippi and LTL freight, which means that there's 10 or 12 drops on a trailer. While I was going to university in Australia, I drove for Greyhound in one of the regional bus lines there, and so I have bus experience as well. Became a licensed commercial driving instructor in 1997. There's a typo there. Graduated with a doctorate in legal history in 2006 from the University of Melbourne in Australia. And 2015, I started the YouTube channel here, and you can find out more about me and the Smart Drive Test channel over at the Smart Drive Test website there. Just check out my autobiography there, and that'll give you more information. New video this week. I gave 11 tips for driving instructors, new driving instructors, and those that are driving instructors. And if you haven't had a chance to look at that, definitely look at that if you're considering a career becoming a driving instructor or any teacher for that matter. There's some tips and strategies there that will definitely help you out and make you a smarter driving instructor and more effective as a teacher. What is defensive driving? According to the American Society of Safety Engineers, driving to save lives, time, and money in spite of the conditions around you and the actions of other road users. And this is very much the definition of what a professional driver is, a smarter, safer driver. You have due care and control of your vehicle regardless of the actions of other drivers on the roadway. And the World Health Organization estimated in 2004 that worldwide an estimated 1.2 million people are killed in road crashes each year, and as many as 50 million are injured. Projections indicate that these figures will increase to about 65% over the next 20 years, which is in another 2 years, and unless new commitment to prevention. And there is Vision Zero, which is a commitment on the part of traffic safety authorities to reduce traffic deaths on our highways to zero. That's a possibility in our industrialized first world nation, so to speak. I know that's not PC, but traffic crashes and traffic deaths are really, really high in those countries such as Africa, those places that don't have traffic management systems in place and whatnot. So they are very high. So the defensive driving model that I have created is SPOC 3, which is the 3 stands for the 3 S's, which is social driving. What is the problem? The problem is social driving. And then the tools that allow you to become a safer, smarter driver are space management, speed management, communication, and observation. So SPOC 3. So actually communication should be last in that acronym. The hallmarks of social driving: stopping too close to traffic when you're stopped at a traffic light or a controlled intersection, following too close, failing to yield, not stopping at stop sign intersections completely, simply rolling through the intersection, driving over painted islands, distracted driving, using electronic devices, and on and on and on. And most people, I've had a lot of people tell me the actions of other users, and they get very upset by the actions of other users. And going out and driving and thinking that other drivers are not going to do something goofy is like going and watching your favorite sports team and expecting the other team not to score. And sometimes that happens, that the other team doesn't score, but quite often the other team does score, and it's the same thing with driving. A lot of times something goofy is going to happen while you're out driving on the roadway. So, what is social driving? With all of these characteristics and hallmarks of social driving, what does it do for the culture of driving? It creates a culture of driving based on a loose set of road rules of hurry up and go. You don't want to be impediment to other traffic. So we are under this impression that we need to hurry up and go, we need to follow the rules, and we need to get going, we need to keep up with traffic flow. Consequently, because there's this pervasive culture of hurry up and go, individual drivers think, me first. I'm the one that needs to go first, because most drivers would agree with the statement, I am a good driver, and therefore it becomes me first. And because they're following too close, driving over painted islands, not stopping at stop signs, etc., 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 driving becomes reactionary and retaliatory. So, for example, if you're following too close to the vehicle in front of you, you're hoping on a wing and a prayer that if the person in front of you does something in an emergency situation, that you're going to be able to stop, because you're too close and you're going to have to react as if you were in an emergency, as opposed to if you stay back and keep space, then you've got more options. As well, in the arena of social driving, most drivers are retaliatory. If somebody tailgates them, for example, they're going to slow down 10 miles an hour just to get back at the person behind them and tell them that, in fact, they're not supposed to be tailgating them, and it's retaliatory. So, the first tool in your toolbox of smarter defensive driving is space management, and it's the final frontier. Same as the Star Trek, which is what it's named after. We hang on the coattails of that very famous cultural icon. So space, the final frontier. You can always manage space in front of your vehicle. And people will come back to me and they will always say, oh, people will cut in front of me and people will take the space and I'll never get to where I'm going, blah, blah, blah. And it's all not true in any stretch of the imagination. People think, many drivers who think that they roll through stop signs or they try and speed and they follow too close to traffic in front of them and those types of things, that they're going to get there faster. The bottom line, the reality is that in fact you're not going to get there faster. you're going to get there at about the same time as the person who's maintaining space and driving according to the mandates and tools of these defensive driving models. So, manage space in front of your vehicle. If a vehicle does cut in front of you, they're going to be gone because they're going faster than you anyway. So they're only going to be there for a few minutes and then they're gone. And as I say about space management, if you're not near anything, it's much less likely that you're going to hit something. So stay away from other road users, stay away from fixed objects. Speed management is what allows you to control space around your vehicle, and space always comes before speed. All right. And for the most part, you're going to do the posted speed limit or the flow of traffic, whichever is less. And after you get your driver's license, I advocate that you stay with the traffic flow because it makes you more proactive and predictable on the roadways as opposed to reactionary and retaliatory, right? Because that's not what we want to do to be safer, smarter drivers. Observation, you need a forward scanning pattern, which includes your instrument panel, your wing mirrors, and as far down the road as you can see. And you're taking note of the changing roadway. You're taking note of traffic signs, other vehicles on the roadway. Are there transit buses? Are there big tractor trailers? Are you going past a shopping mall? Those types of things. So all of the characteristics of the roadway. Anytime that you're turning or changing lanes, you're going to be shoulder checking. And it's almost disappointing to hear the number of people who come back to me and say, I'm going to stop shoulder checking after I get my license because it's stupid. Well, it's not stupid. And I cannot emphasize, of all the skills that you learn when driving, if you can manage space in front of your vehicle and you can shoulder check, you are going to be way, heads and shoulders above all of the other drivers on the roadway, because too many of them are not shoulder checking and simply blindly driving around. And as I say, shoulder checking, not shoulder checking is to driving what not checking to see if a weapon is loaded is to gun safety. That's how dangerous not shoulder checking in a moving 2-ton vehicle at speed is when you're driving. So if you're going to be one of those drivers, and we know that most drivers do, in fact, in the first 3 months after getting their license, do stop shoulder checking, which is, quite scary. Until something happens, they lane merge and they figure out that somebody's there and, it was a near miss, then they start shoulder checking again. But for the most part, a lot of people, unfortunately, are not shoulder checking. They're simply relying on their mirrors, or they're relying on convex mirrors or those types of things. So it's not safe. The way that we communicate with other traffic on the roadway is lights and signals. The horn in North America is used sparingly, but in other countries it's very much used as a sign of communication. We had that discussion last week. Hand gestures, don't tell other drivers they're number one on a driver's test, or at any other time for that matter, because you could incite road rage. Eye contact, if you're not sure what the other drivers are doing. And the position of the road user. I used to say the position of the vehicle, but then last week I realized it's very much the position of the road user in relation to the road, or wherever they are in the road environment. For example, if a pedestrian's walking up to a crosswalk, there's a high probability that he or she is going to cross the road. And if a vehicle is in the left turning lane, there's a good chance that they're going to be turning left. Intersections, mapping, tracking, and monitoring, mapping, and tracking intersections and other road users. Where are the intersections? Where are the road users in relation to the intersections? Are you tracking them? Are they going to intersect with your path of travel? Where you are in relation to the intersection. So scan the intersection before entering it. Scan as you're approaching the intersection. Map the road users that are in and around the intersection, and then track their movement so that you know where they are in relation to your vehicle as you're moving through or moving around the intersection and moving through it. So good luck in your driver's test, and remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. And we'll get back over here. There we go. Excellent. All right. So these guys are talking about bad drivers, and yeah, there's no shortage of those. All right. Goose. So many fatal accidents per year. The World Health Organization should lobby to ban motor vehicles. Yeah, that's not going to happen, Goose. It is not going to happen. We are not going to ban the motor car. And you know, the other thing is that we live in low density population in most of North America. There's very few places in North America that have high density populations as they do in Europe, which supports public transport. I mean, it's great when you can go to Germany or any other place in Europe and simply get on a high-speed train and move from one place to another, or take public transit. It's just absolutely awesome. But even where I live here, I mean, in a small town in, you know, the interior of British Columbia, I have to have a car to get to many places that I want to get to. I mean, public transit just is second, you know, it's not even there. Cole, you failed your test on Friday. I'm sorry to hear that. What was the reason? What was the feedback that you got for failing your driver's test? And Corey's put up the videos there on uncontrolled intersections and controlled intersections. Thanks for that, Corey. Carl, as a transit bus operator, is it safe for the bus driver to communicate to the driver who allowed them to merge back into the original lane as they say thank you? Carl, generally as transit bus drivers, they don't communicate with other traffic in the way that truck drivers do. But I mean, you could stick your arm out the window and just kind of wave to the person behind you. But you know, it's going to happen so many times in a day that you know, you just return the favor, pay it forward is kind of what I say, right? If somebody lets you in, then let somebody else in, you know, maybe in the afternoon or those types of things. Dylan, thanks so much for your videos. Helped me pass my G a few weeks back. That is awesome, Dylan. Thank you so much for stopping in and letting us know that you were successful in passing your driver's test. That is really, really awesome. And Ben is saying that the Twin City, Minnesota, Minneapolis has awesome public transportation, and that's really good to hear. I know that Toronto has really good transportation. When I was living in Melbourne, Australia, I mean, they had incredible public transportation. They had light rail system. They also had the trams and trolleys. I never looked at a bus schedule the whole time that I was living in Melbourne, because we were on one of the main tram lines, and they ran every 8 minutes. You just went down, and the longest you really ever waited for a tram was like 7 minutes if you missed the one that would just, you know, took off from the station as you were getting there. So I miss living in large metropolitan areas that have good transportation, because I mean, I like to walk, and if I can take the train or the bus, even better. Carl, I got my transit drive test this Tuesday with Ottawa Transpo in Ottawa there. Excellent. And Ottawa Carleton Transpo, that's right. Carl, and speaking of Ottawa has an excellent transit system as well. I mean, some of the buses even have their own roads, which is just crazy. And I lived in Ottawa in the late 1990s, and I can remember coming from London, Ontario. London, Ontario had a terrible transit system, and I mean, you know, and it's not like today where you know, pop up the Google map and you pick your destination where you're going, and it'll give you the exact route and the bus numbers, and it'll tell you when you need to get to the sign and those types of things. You know, you had those little schedules on paper and you had like 6 of them when I was in London Transit. Anyway, long story short, it was a Sunday. I was going to the train station from where I lived, and I thought, okay, well, it's probably going to take me 2 hours to get there. I allowed 2 hours, went down and waited for the bus, got on the bus, and I was at the train station within 20 minutes. I couldn't believe it. I was completely flabbergasted at how fast on a Sunday I had gotten to the train station. For those of you who don't ride public transport, Sunday is usually the day that you know, it's reduced service for public. So I was very surprised at how quickly I got to the train station in Ottawa. All right, just bear with me while I just make one adjustment here. Let's turn that down a little bit. There we go. Retired, I found your channel while taking a 9,000-mile 14-state road trip across America. Thanks for helping me on the road. Retired, you're most welcome, and that sounds like an incredible journey there, 9,000 miles. I just got finished with about 5,000 miles, so 9,000, that's awesome. Were you driving a car or were you driving an RV? Richie was about to turn left on a green light, but the pedestrian on the sidewalk had the right of way. Had my left blinker on and waited till she was halfway through the street. Did I yield correctly? Richie, it sounds like you did do the correct thing because, yes, the pedestrian on the cross street does, in fact, have the right of way. So if you yielded to them, then yes, you did the right thing. Jim Bob, I had a funny story about me and a train. Passenger train or a freight train? Cole, hit all 3 cones for 90-degree backing and 2 cones for parallel parking. An instructor had to yell to stop to avoid an accident. Now the next available appointment is in March. And Cole, yes, if you're knocking down cones, that's an automatic fail on a driver's test. Doesn't matter whether you knock down one or you knock down all of them. Yes, that's an automatic fail on a driver's test. Mallory, don't stop on roundabouts or pull out in front of someone on a roundabout. Yes, and you are absolutely correct. Mallory, please don't stop in a roundabout. That's just goofy. And yes, you have to give way to all traffic in the roundabout when you're approaching and moving through those. I retired. I drove a 2020 Mazda CX-5 Grand Touring Reserve equipped with a turbo and all-wheel drive. That sounds like a very nice vehicle with the turbo. Very comfortable vehicle to drive, unlike the buggy, which it's a driving vehicle. You really got to drive it. So, yeah. There we go. Okay, excellent. In a train simulator. Okay, well, tell us your story, Jim Bob, because it's not very busy tonight for some reason, and lots of people probably off studying and getting going on their high school exams and midterm projects and those types of things. So we got lots of opportunity for you to ask questions and whatnot. So going back to SPOC 3, the defensive driving model with social driving, space management, speed management, observation, and communication. This is very much a tool that you can use for defensive driving that will make you a safer, smarter driver on the roadway. So use those tools, and as I said, I'll come back to the fact that space management, you can always manage that space in front of your vehicle. If you can maintain that 3 to 4 second following distance in front of your vehicle, not only are you going to significantly reduce your chances of being involved in a crash, but you're also going to significantly reduce your maintenance costs on your vehicle because you're not going to be using your brakes as much, you're not going to be accelerating as much, because basically what you do is you work the throttle and reduce or increase your speed in relationship, to the traffic in front of you. So you've always got that kind of buffer of space. So if the traffic in front of you slows down, then it's just a matter of you taking your foot off the throttle and allowing your vehicle to kind of coast up in behind them. I mean, until you get absolutely really close. The other piece with keeping space in front of your vehicle is if you are in slow-moving traffic, congested traffic, then it's simply a matter of being able to see the tires of the vehicle in front of you making clear contact with the pavement at all times. Retired, any tips for driving in the mountains? I have a fear of driving in the mountains. Yeah, retired, look far down the road. Take note. So retired, are you talking about driving now in the winter time, or are you going to be talking about driving in the summertime? Just answer that question for me, and then I'll go from there with you. Crystal, I did better today in terms of my driving practice. It was better than last week, and that's really great, Crystal, because that's essentially what you're going to do as you're learning to drive and taking your driving practice and those types of things. It's going to get better. You're going to improve, right? And as I say to people, make sure that you're picking specific skills that you want to work on for each lesson, and then that way you're going to see your skills and abilities increasing faster, as opposed to as if you're going out for a driving lesson, you're trying to do too much in a driving lesson. So pick things that you can focus on. Jim Bob, once I stopped, I realized that I was approaching the end of the line really fast, so I threw excuse me. The train brakes on, and when I was halfway there, I threw the emergency brakes on, but it was too late. So you crashed the train, Jim Bob. Okay. Cole, thank you so much for answering my questions. Have a great night. You as well, my friend. Mallory, 13 years in Toronto. I went on my first subway train ride ever. And yes, Mallory, that's awesome. I too have ridden the subway in Toronto. Absolutely love it. Retired, driving in the mountains in the summer and in the fall season. Okay, so retired, driving in the fall season, make sure that you have good tires on your vehicle. Make sure that you have good windshield wash wipers. Make sure that you have your windshield washer fluid topped up, because in the wintertime, this time of year, and even more so as the weeks kind of move into October, it's not unusual at high elevations that you can get into snow and ice. And you can drive through some very... a wide range of weather in the mountains in the winter time. And actually, if Corey, I think there's a video on driving in the mountains in the winter time here on the channel. If Corey might be able to find it, that's an old video, but it will give you some of the information about driving in the fall. The other piece with driving in the mountains, look farther down the road, figure out where the road is going, because mountain roads are very curvy and windy and around the mountains and lakes and those types of things. But definitely do drive in the mountains retired, because, it's absolutely gorgeous. I was coming back from Winfield today, driving along Kalamalka Lake and Highway 97 here in the interior of British Columbia. It's an absolutely stellar drive, incredible view. But, windy, curvy, two-lane roads. So, keep your kind of wits about you. Have good tires on the vehicle. And, if you're not comfortable doing the speed limit, stay in the right-hand lane and go at a speed that's comfortable for you. And obviously not too much below the speed limit, because you don't want to be an impediment to other traffic on the roadway. But do the best you can. Squirrel, I wonder why different countries use different ways of measuring speed, such as miles per hour and kilometers per hour. Is it because of the metric system? Squirrel, yes, it is the metric system. Most of the world uses the metric system. The United States of America and a couple of other countries, I think, are the only. I think maybe even England still uses the imperial, but for most part, most of the countries in the world are with the metric system. And the other piece about that is us here in Canada, we're not completely metric. We drive in kilometers per hour, we buy meat in kilograms, but if you load a semi truck, you're still going by pounds. You're still going 140,000 pounds on a Super Bee. And if you go to the store, you're still buying a 2x4. It's not 2 inches by 4 inches, but you're still buying a 2x4. You're still buying a 2x6 or a 2x8, and those types of things. So there you go, right? So yeah, most of the world is in metric and kilometers per hour, but the United States is in miles per hour. Mallory, what type of car is your buggy? The buggy is a 1998 Honda CR-V. It's got 360,000 kilometers on it, which is about 215,000 miles on it. So it's doing all right. Carl, watch Highway Through Hell to see what happens in the mountains. Very busy for Jamie Davis towing. Carl, I don't think it's as busy as the show lets on. Yes, there's no doubt that there are crashes. There are truck crashes and those types of things. But I think now, as we get into the winter time and those types of things, yes, it's going to get busier for them. But for the most part, the roads here in the mountains are safe. And they're even more safe in the United States, because it's always an interstate that's going through the mountains. I mean, unless you go on the state roads or back roads or those types of things. Here in Canada, not so much. There are some places where it's still, up near Golden, it's still 2 lanes in either directions, but much of it is 4-lane interstate type roads, freeways and whatnot. Goose, UK is metric except for measuring road distance. They use imperial. Okay, excellent. Thanks for that information. Evan, if you happen to go into the outer left turn lane, shall you be to the left or in the center of the lane to turn left? Evan, I'm not really following can you reword that for me? Because I'm not sure what you're asking me. Blessed, do you still have your CR-V? That is a good model, better than the newer ones. My opinion, if you decide to get another vehicle, what would you get next? Just curious. Okay. Just hold on to that 1 second, Blessed. I'll answer a couple more questions and I'll tell you what I'm looking at. Crystal, driving is one of the most dangerous things that a person can learn to do. However, you need to be careful when doing and practicing this hard skill so that you keep yourself safe. Crystal, it is a complex task that you're learning how to do. Probably not the most complicated task, but it is very much up there, no doubt, for sure. 2, does cruise control allow you to pass vehicles on interstates without having to hit the gas pedal? Yes, it does. If you're going faster than other vehicles, you just move over to the outside left lane, leave it on cruise control, pass the other vehicle, and then move back in. Yeah, you don't have to accelerate to go past them if you're going faster than, for sure. Blessed. So, yes, I still have the Honda, still have the CR-V. Done a fair bit of work on it, and I am looking at buying a car. I was very much set on buying a BMW X5, which is another SUV, but I already have an SUV, and I'm thinking, well, I'll keep the SUV. And it's also for tax reasons, because I can buy a vehicle for the business, but then I have to have a personal vehicle for tax reasons, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it's all complicated. And so I was thinking, well, I already have an SUV, so why would I buy an X5? And I thought about it, and then my girlfriend Tracy bought an Audi S4 V6 Turbo. Beautiful car. Absolutely beautiful car. I drove it on the highway last night. I was just like, oh my God, 75 mile an hour. It's not even doing 1800 RPM, and it's just like 75, 120 kilometers an hour. It's just like, It's just like, oh yeah, I'm bored. Anyway, so I've been very much looking at the Audis and thinking that I would buy as well. I would buy an S4 to teach students in, because it's just an absolutely magic, beautiful car. I just cannot can't get over how nice it is. So that's now what I'm considering is I'm going to keep the Honda and I'm going to buy an Audi S4, either the S4 or something with a V6 in it. But unfortunately, they stopped making the manual transmissions, and it's kind of a thing for me is like, if I want to teach in it, I need to have an automatic transmission. So do I want an automatic transmission? I don't know. Maybe. 2, also, does cruise control help you pass vehicles like a big truck on the interstate without hitting? Yes, it does. It just keeps you at a constant speed. So if you're going faster than the other vehicle, like I said, you just move out into the left lane, pass, and then move back over. Okay? Jay, any advice for passing the written test? Yes, I do have lots of advice for passing the written test. Excuse me. Okay, first off, don't read the driver's handbook cover to cover, because it is boring. Okay? Written by bureaucrats, it's very boring. Go online, find practice driving test questions. There's heaps and heaps of them online. Do those. Don't use them as, this is how much I know and I'm a terrible person because I only got 60%. No, use it as a tool to figure out the gaps in your knowledge. So for example, you don't understand right of way. So figure out that you don't know right of way, and then go back to the manual and look up right of way rules, and then go back and do the tests again. When you're getting 80 to 90% consistently on the test, then go to the DMV and do your test. That's the best way to study for the written test for your license. Okay. Evan, is it the first rainfall of meteorologic? Okay, not really sure what the difference between I can't even say it. It's just the first 15 minutes of a rain. Okay, so because what happens is it loosens up all the oil in the concrete and the pavement, and it brings it up and it floats on the water, and it causes them to be slippery. So just be careful at the beginning of the rain. Parker, why all the left turns in intersections don't have advanced greens? Because there's not enough traffic to have advanced left greens. That's why they don't have them. And the other reason is that there's always this conflict in traffic between safety and traffic flow, and they're always trying to mediate those two conflicts in traffic. So it's safety on one hand and traffic flow on the other hand. So if you have an advanced green, you're slowing down traffic flow, and this is the reason they don't have them at every intersection. Evan, if you're at a red light and there's a sign forbidding you to turn right from the right lane and cars are stopped and mine sure no pedestrians are nearby, can I go? No, if there's a sign prohibiting you from turning right on a red light, you cannot turn right on a red light. You will both probably get a ticket and fail your driver's test. Canadian fella, when shoulder checking, do I just look out the driver's side window and passenger window? Yes, you just simply turn your head 90 degrees, okay? 90 degrees, because we have, in healthy adults, we have 180 degrees peripheral vision, right? This here. If you put your hands here, you can see your hands. So what you're doing is by turning your head 90 degrees, now you've got all this peripheral vision out here. And essentially what you're looking for when you're turning your head is light and movement. You're looking for some sort of movement over there, because if you detect movement, like a cyclist, for example, then what you're going to do is you're going to look again and you're going to figure out what's over there, whether it's a cyclist or a pedestrian or whatnot. And that's the reason that we just turn our head 90 degrees to shoulder check. Ben, I read cover to cover for the rule book, Rick. That's unfortunate, Ben. That's unfortunate. Lamb sauce, do you have a video on dry steering, Rick? Lamb sauce, I do not have a video on dry steering because it's from the old world. Back in the old world of no power steering and bias ply tires. Okay, you're probably not going to do a lot of dry steering. For those of you who don't know what dry steering is when you turn the steering wheel but you're not moving the car, and it tends to be a little bit hard on tires, but tires are much more robust than they were 50 years ago. And as well, we have power steering so that you can dry steer if you get into a tight situation and whatnot. You're going to find it's easier on your tires and easier on your vehicle if you are moving the vehicle even slowly while you're turning the wheels, but it's not as dramatic as it once was. All right. Brandon, advice on the Class 7 road test. Brandon, the Class 7 road test, are you talking about the written or are you talking about the on-road test? Just let me know that. Yankee, had you ever had Tim Hortons, and if so, what do you order? Never been to one, so that's why I'm asking, and thanks again for your wonderful driving advices. Yankee, you're most welcome. Tim Hortons is a coffee shop. It's much like Dunkin' Donuts. There was a time that I used to go to Tim Hortons a lot. I have to say that my need to go to Tim Hortons in the last, 2 decades has really waned. Probably because, I have a French press and I grind my own coffee, so I get better coffee at home. But, depending on what you want, and you like coffee, then definitely go to Tim Hortons and, donuts and muffins and all those types of things. So there you go. 2, thank you for answering my questions about cruise control. I watch a lot of your highway videos for helpful tips when trying to overcome my fear of driving on the interstate. Excellent. And 2, you just, go out when the interstate's not busy. Go out in the morning, go out in the later afternoon, and then you're going to do just fine. It's going to really help you out. Carl, in a bus, when approaching an intersection, would it be safe to hover the brake, look to the left, center left, while you rock and roll your body to view the blind spots ahead? Carl, absolutely. You want to do that kind of, left, center, right, and then left again, because left again is where the first traffic is going to come if they do hit you, right? And yes, you do want, if you detect any hazard or anything that you think might materialize, yes, you definitely want to put your foot over the brake and cover the brake in preparation to get the vehicle stopped as quickly as possible. Lay, my family swears by Tim Hortons. I can't stand it though. Fair enough. I know there's people in the world, but I'm from Eastern Canada, where going to Tim Hortons is next to patriotism kind of thing. But and here in the West, in Western Canada, I mean, we also have Starbucks here, and there's people here who that's all they go to is Starbucks. But personally, the language throws me right off. It's like it's a small, medium, or large, and they've got all these grande things and other weird Latin names going on. It's just like, just give me the one in the middle. But it's very obvious that I'm not part of the Starbucks community, and skinny fat latte with extra foam kind of thing. So you know where I stand. Just give me my coffee. Fellow, what do I do when someone is following me too close, but I am doing the speed limit? Canadian, simply increase your distance in front of you that you're following. That way you can drive your vehicle for both yourself and for the numbskull behind you that's tailgating you, okay? Don't slow down. Just do the speed limit. Watch what they're doing. And most of the time, they're not going to stay there for very long. All right? Lamb Sauce, do you have any jiu-jitsu stories for you? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. We have a French gentleman named Jan in jiu-jitsu who tried to separate my head from my shoulders last week. I kind of ended up in a sitting position like this, and he kind of come down on the top of my head and is like, oh, my neck. Anyway, he's more athletic than I am. There's absolutely no doubt about that. So Thursday I went to class with my mentor, Ben, and he kind of gave me some tips and strategies. So Jan's going to get it next week. That's my thing. So that's my story for jiu-jitsu this week, that, you know, somebody tried to separate my head from my shoulders. But I'm okay. I'm okay. We're still going. Ben, I forgot to put on my makeup on tonight. Ben, you are poking the bull there. You're lucky that Margaret is not here. Grand Caramel Frappuccino is my Starbucks order. That's funny. That's funny. I'm only laughing because, you know, I was having a go at Starbucks. But hey, if that's your thing, that's your thing. Okay? Brandon, sorry, I meant on a road test for the BCN permit. Also, when following the instructions of the examiner, what if you miss your instructor's instructions and forget to go left? Will you get penalized? Okay, Brandon, I would very much like to say no, that you're not going to be penalized for missing an instruction from the examiner on your driver's test. And I would hope that that would be true, okay? You really shouldn't be penalized. If the examiner told you to go left and you missed the left-hand turn because for whatever reason you already had your mind made up on going right or going straight or whatever, it's up to you. That's up to the examiner to get that sorted out, right? Because I've had that happen with students where they do something and contrary to an instruction that I gave them. They might, if they're one of those knuckleheads that really shouldn't be a driving examiner, but most driving examiners are not going to penalize you for missing an instruction on a driver's test, okay? Teresa, hi sir, thank you for helping me. More power to you, God bless. Thank you so much, Teresa. And if there's anything you can help you out with, or have any questions at all, definitely leave us a comment down in the comment section. And those watching on the replay as well, leave us a comment down in the comment section. And, thumbs up, hit the like button, all that good stuff. You know everything that you need to do here on YouTube. And for those of you watching on the replay, watching now, if you want to consider the Pass Your Driver's Test First Time Smarter course package over at the Smart Drive Test website, guaranteed to pass your driver's test. If you're not completely satisfied or you don't pass, we'll give you your money back, 100% guaranteed. As a bonus, we'll also throw in the Smarter Winter Driving and Defensive Driving courses as a bonus, and you pick that up for about $38 US over at the Smart Drive Test website, and Corey will put up the link for you for that. Blessed, I started driving not that long ago and I'm older. Can you give me a tip how to park in the center of the parking stall? I still struggle for some areas in my driving. And Blessed, that's not unusual that you're having some challenges parking in the center of the stall. So first tip that I always have for parking in parking lots is if you can find a space that's a little further away and you might have to drive, is to drive in one and then drive in so you can drive out, right? That's obviously the easiest thing to do. The other thing is if you're going to back into the parking space, always try to back in beside another car. That way you have a landmark and it's a lot easier to back in. And then last, if there isn't any vehicles on either side of you or you can't drive through, then the other thing when you're backing up is the space in front, the parking space in front, because usually there's a row of parking spaces and then another row of parking spaces. The parking space directly in front of you is usually in line with the one back here. So if you look forward and you know that your vehicle is lined up with the space in front, then you know that you're straight into the space. As well, when you're backing up, kind of sit up in the driver's seat and look down in the mirror. That way you don't have to adjust the mirror, but you can see the line on on the pavement, right? And that's going to allow you to line up. The other thing, blessed, if you're having some trouble with that, just practice and, open the door, look and see where the line is, and, adjust. If you do that a few times after you get the vehicle parked and you just open the door and you go, okay, I'm crooked, and then you move and you adjust, you'll be surprised that, within half a dozen times, you'll start getting it. You'll start getting a lot easier. And, most of the drivers, blessed, other drivers watching now or watching on the replay, if you can practice backing up into a parking space, backing up into a laneway, this skill is going to translate into your overall driving and make you a better driver. It will reduce your chances of being involved in a crash because you have a higher skill set of knowing where your vehicle is in space and place. In other words, where your vehicle is in relationship to other fixed objects on the roadway and other road users. All right, so there you go. DC, Rick, what's the best tip to keep improving your driving skills? DC, you're in the right place. For the first piece is you're here hanging out with me. And the other thing is to just take note of mistakes of other people. What are they doing? What are they not doing? Take note of social driving, because unfortunately, to be a safer, smarter driver, you have to drive in a manner that's contrary to what everybody else is doing on the roadway. So, don't drive in traffic clusters. Don't stop in traffic right tight up against the car in front of you. Always have that 3 to 4 second following distance. And if you can do that, you can have that 3 to 4 second following distance in front of you. That's going to increase your awareness and your driving skills exponentially. As well, if you continue to shoulder check every time you're turning, it's going to significantly reduce your chances of being involved in a crash. So it's just a matter of knowing. I don't know it all, and I'm continually trying to learn more information. It's like anything in life, right? We just got to be learning all the time. And it's the same thing for me. Here on the channel, writing, doing, consulting, I learn heaps too. So it's, I'm learning as much from you as you're learning from me. So that's really good that way. 22, I'm guilty of taking turns too fast. Sometimes I just got my license and I feel I'm still learning. I haven't even been driving through winter, which my husband is very worried about. 22, that's okay. We all have a heavy foot. I have a heavy foot too. I know other people that have a heavy foot. But, make sure you get slowed down before the turn and then try and, accelerate through the curve. And that way that's going to keep you safe. JV, you're most welcome, my friend. Is it dangerous to use cruise control in a busy city? Canadian, yeah, I recommend that you don't use cruise control in a city, in a busy place, and those types of things. Generally, you want to have somewhere, you got a bit open road or out on the highway or those types of things. Epic, another question on freeway driving, defensive techniques. Is it very dangerous to use cruise control when you are about to approach a congested area because of warning of where it is located on the freeway? Epic, if you're coming into congestion, then yes, I recommend that you not use cruise control. You take it off and then manage space in front of your vehicle. If you can manage it to the sides and to the rear, that's a bonus. But for the most part, you're only going to be able to manage that space in front of your vehicle, and you want to try to keep that kind of 3 to 4 second following distance. Stefan, Mr. Rick, you is the best driving instructor ever. Thank you so much for everything from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And Stefan, I am on my way to Philadelphia in 3 weeks. I should be there. I'm looking forward to coming back to Philadelphia. I haven't been there in a very, very long time. So thank you for that. Okay. Tiago, thank you so much for your videos. You're most welcome, my friend. Ben asks, can I drive one-handed? Yes, you can drive one-handed. And then, if you get into traffic situations that are more demanding, more challenging, require more of your awareness and skill, then yes, you want to put 2 hands on the steering wheel. Shake's word, are you allowed to turn right on a red light when the opposite side has a green arrow to go left? Shake's word, you can if there's a break in the traffic, but if the left turning traffic on the other side of the road has the advanced green, they're the ones that have the right of way. So you have to give way to them. The other thing with left turning traffic is that left turning traffic isn't necessarily going to stay in the left lane. Lots of cars will wander over to the right lane, so you have to be very careful of that as well, that they're not going to drive into the side of you and sideswipe you. Blessed, I was going in and out of the car. I feel always not centered. Also, I have a backup camera, but try not to use it as I'm doing old school with the side mirrors. I practice a lot. Blessed, if you have a backup camera, then then it's easy. Use your backup camera. You know, you don't want to use it as your primary line of sight, for sure. Excellent. That's awesome that you're not doing that. But use it as the tool to fine tune your parking, because I'm a huge advocate of backup cameras. I think they're awesome. They're not awesome when that's all you're using to back up. But if you're using that in conjunction with using your mirrors and looking out the back window and all of your scanning, your 360-degree scans around the vehicle, then yes, absolutely use your backup camera, because, you know, I think they're a tremendous boost in safety, you know, reversing and safety, because unfortunately, you know, there's been a lot of crashes, and I can remember years and years and years ago when I went to work for Burlington Motor Carriers in Indiana, and the driving instructor got up and he's talking about reversing a tractor trailer, and he just said, you know, reverse, the worst gear ever put in a tractor trailer. Yeah, so if you have those tools, definitely use those tools. Alexandra, hey Rick, my driving test is tomorrow. Can you bless me with your luck? Alexandra, good luck on your driver's test tomorrow. Remember to breathe. That'll help your body to relax. You're going to do awesome. Imagine the win. Imagine the win. You're going to do awesome. So do that for sure. Lamb sauce. What's your favorite music genre? Lamb sauce. I'm very eclectic when it comes to music. Kylie B, I think we were listening to in the girlfriend's car the other day. Yeah, she's edgy. Carl, thanks for all your help, Rick. I hope to tell you next week that I passed my driving test with the OC Transpo. And Carl, I'm sure you're going to do really well, my friend. That's awesome. Big Mac Sam, how are you, my friend? Sam, I'm going to be in New York City in 3 weeks. Send me an email. I'll send you an email. Okay? And we'll go from there. Thank you, my friend. Alexander, thank you. Yes, I'm going to be in New York. What day is it that I'm going to be in New York? Let me look at my calendar here real quick, because I know I fly out on the 6th. Looking. Here we go. Thanksgiving. Monday. The 11th. I'm going to be in New York on the 11th of October. Is that going to work? That might work for you, Sam? Let me know. Canadian, thank you for answering my questions. Your videos helped me a lot with overcoming some of the anxiety I have as a new driver with my G1, and we're really, really happy that we could help you out, Canadian. That's tremendous. 7M, greetings from Egypt. I appreciate your time and efforts on your channel. That is awesome, M7, and I am really, really happy that you're tuning in from Egypt. I think you're probably the first from Egypt. I have other people in the world, but that's great. Yankee, New York City is pretty much the Toronto of the U.S., I believe. Yes, Yankee, no, I wouldn't go there. Toronto is very different from New York City. New York City is, it's kind of like Paris or London. It's one of the cities in the world that you really, you know, it's different. It's got its own characteristic. It's very different. No, I wouldn't compare it to Toronto at all. Mallory, why are yellow and red lights treated the same when it comes to driving? Not when it comes to driving, Mallory, but when it comes to a driving test, they both mean the same thing. You must come to a stop or you're not going to be successful on passing your driver's test. Sam, sounds great. I think that works. October 11th. That would be great. Sam, maybe we can shoot a video. That would be great, because what I've got is a conference in Albany, upstate New York, and then I'm coming back and I'm flying out on the Tuesday, so I'm there for the Monday, and I have to meet one other person, but we could probably do it either in the morning or in the afternoon. That would be awesome. Bruh, I have my driver's test in a few weeks. I'm very nervous. You are going to do awesome, my friend. Very awesome. All right, seeing if anybody else is here. We have time for a couple more questions before we get going here. But yeah, I'm looking forward to going to the States. I'm going to a YouTube conference in Albany, New York. And it's the first time I'm going to be on a plane in like 2.5 years. Crazy, 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 crazy. Blessed, I didn't talk to you about the cleaning supplies for your car. My preference for cleaning supplies, and I know there's lots of other ones out there, but mine is Meguiar. I like the Meguiar products. I like the wax. I like their wheel cleaner for disc brakes because you get a lot of the brake dust on the wheels. I like their brake cleaner. I like their car wash soap. So I'm kind of a fan of the Meguiar products, and so I use Meguiar. There are some other things that you can use as well, but if you've got a brand new car and you're already, you just want to wash it and wax it, then the Meguiar products will work really well for you. So, and I'll send you back that email because I know I that slipped my mind last week because it's been busy, which is awesome. Because you don't want to be hanging around, twiddling your thumbs and those types of things. None of that here. Alexandra, trips to impress the driving instructor during the test. Alexandra, so when you show up for your driver's test, excellent question. You want to show up 20 to 30 minutes before your test. You want to go in. You want to check in. Make sure that you do a pre-trip inspection on your vehicle the night before. Make sure everything's working, all the lights are working, because you don't want to be denied your driver's test because, for example, you had a brake light out and, excuse me, give it a wash, maybe take it down, get it vacuumed. Excuse me. Make sure you bring your license. Make sure you bring an additional piece of identification. Bring some money because it costs money for your driver's test. And then after you check in, make sure you go to the washroom before you go down because you don't want to have to go. And, with COVID right now, the DMV washrooms may or may not be open. So make sure you go before you go. Don't drink a lot of coffee before you go down. And then the first 5 minutes, make sure you back into the parking space unless signs prohibit it at the test center. Back in, that way you can drive out. Signal, make sure you signal out of the parking space and, obey all the road signs and those types of things. Your job is to take away the driving examiner's right to fail you. Nothing less, nothing more. That's all you have to do for the purposes of the driver's test. First 5 minutes is critical for the driver's test. Once you get the first 5 minutes out, then you're going to relax. The driving examiner is going to relax. They're going to go, yeah, you can drive and those types of things. And just listen to the instructions from the driving examiner. If you make a mistake, just keep going because the driving examiner may or may not even have seen the mistake. So just keep going and do what they say and keep going until the examiner tells you to stop or you end up back at the test center. That's all you got to do. Okay? And visualize the win because you're going to win. Sam, did you hear about this? Road testers are not finding out if they passed or failed at the road test site here in New York. They are given a card letting them know they can find out. Yes, I did hear that, Sam. And, some of the comments that I'm getting with belligerent students on the Smart Drive Test channel, I kind of can't blame them for it because if they're going to take abuse from students who didn't pass their driver's test because they thought they were entitled and should have passed, it's a move to protect the students. I mean, what are your thoughts about it, Sam? Goose, Windex for car windows with a streak-free cloth. Yes. Mallory, just wondering if they can still use your dash cam. I really enjoy your videos. Yes, Mallory, I still use my dash cam. Have it running all the time, and I'm actually, when I get things settled down here a little bit, probably about when I get back in October, I'm going to start working on some shorts as well. YouTube shorts. It still sounds weird. Short videos. 1 minute videos. Monet, hello sir, always watching your videos. I hope I'll pass my driver's test, and you will. You're going to do awesome. Brian, good night. I'm having a challenge driving at night, especially use the mirrors to see what's coming behind and up beside me. Do you have any night driving tips? Brian here from Kingston in Jamaica. Yes, Brian, one of the things you want to do is you want to flip the center mirror up so that you're not getting that reflection in your eyes. And as well, when you do get vehicles coming up behind, no, I'll back up. So flip the center mirror switch so that the lights from the back aren't reflecting, and then try and turn your dash lights down as much as you can on the instrument panel, because what happens is they're really bright, and you're drawing your eyes down. So you want to try and turn the dash lights down in your instrument panel so it's not distracting you when you're driving. And then looking out the front windshield, tracking other vehicles in and around your vehicle, and figuring out where the roadway goes. And that's really going to help you out as you're driving, okay, at night. And as well, Corey will put the video up for you on night driving, and that'll help you out as well with more tips and details for driving at night. Alexandra, if I touch the cone or curb when parking, is that an automatic fail? Or if I completely knock over the cone or strike over the curb, I adjust away from it, is it fine? Yes, try not to hit the curb. Try not to hit any cones, because that's going to that's going to be bad, okay? That you're probably not going to pass. Sam, I completely agree. The bad apples ruin it for everyone. The examiners need to be protected. Yeah, no, Sam, it's unfortunate that they've had to do that. But like you said, especially in the bigger city, they have to protect the examiners. So that's what they need to do. Brian, you're most welcome. All right, so we're going to wrap it up there. We're at the top of the hour. Thank you for all your questions. Thank you for showing up. If you passed your driver's test in the last couple of weeks, congratulations on that. If you have a driver's test coming up in the next week or so, remember to breathe. That'll cause your body to relax. Good luck on your driver's test. And remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Have a great night. Bye now.